the Yankees and Dodgers don't even have, like, Garrett Cole's not back. Kershaw's not there. Dominating teams they play this weekend. A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, 22 years in the sport. Fox Sports joining us. It is nuts. So you've done this before. You've come to a team. There's a lot of pressure. And there's a lot of – Ohtani goes to the Dodgers. He's got that thing he's dealing with, yet he's been amazing. Soto goes with the Yankees. A lot of pressure for Soto. They're both just lighting it up. Are you surprised with the added pressure in big markets, L.A., New York, both undeterred, unbothered, crushing it in year one?
Hey, Colin. No, I'm not surprised. I mean, these are two of the best athletes, not only in baseball, but in all of sports. And the only Soto comparison that I have is I remember in 92 or 93 when Barry Bonds arrived in San Francisco, and forever he converted that franchise.
Yeah.
For the next 10 or plus years is one of the places to be, hottest ticket around. And Juan Soto is simply the best hitter in baseball, playing for the best team, for the number one market in baseball. But there's additional pressure because unlike Ohtani, who has about a decade to go plus in the Dodgers, this is Soto's first year in New York and maybe his last. And I think that adds an incredible amount of pressure to this season for the Yankees.
Yeah, Aaron Judge is – I mean, I've said this before. He's got almost a Babe Ruth quality. He looks like a defensive end in the NFL. And if you look at the history of New York, many of the most successful stars, Jeter, Eli, and Aaron Judge, they grow with the market. They're not stars day one. They grow with the market. You came in as a star, right? You came in big. Was there a moment with Aaron Judge? Did you know 4 years ago, 3 years ago? Did you know initially, yeah, that's going to work? That's going to be a star. Did you see qualities early besides his obvious size?
Well, what you saw was a young man that was 6'7", 282 pounds, less than 10% body fat, and is an absolute specimen. And how lucky are we that he chose baseball over football because he had Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State all coming after him.
Yeah.
And he's a tremendous, tremendous young man. He is like Derek Jeter. He's a prototypical New York guy, Madison Avenue, likable, great parents, educators all around his family. He's married to his junior high sweetheart. I mean, Colin, if you can just make up the perfect New York Madison Avenue player, is Aaron Judge. This is the kind of player that George Steinbrenner would have just been madly in love with.
Yeah, Is it hard? He's a good-looking kid. Is it hard to stay out of, I shouldn't say trouble, but it is, there's so many things in New York. It's one of those, like L.A. is different, Alex. L.A. is so spread out. You go to Malibu, you hide from everybody. New York, you're on an island. It's just Broadway, Knicks, Yankees. Were there times in New York where you felt like I'm just being engulfed by all this?
Oh, I mean, New York's the greatest city in the world. I tell you, sometimes you feel like you're in the middle of the circus, and sometimes you feel like you're the clown that everybody's looking at. It's hard to get away with it. To your point about LA, there's a lot of ways where you can get away. In New York, there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. I think one of the things that helped Aaron Judge is, number one, I think the front office, the coaching staff have done a tremendous job developing him. He wasn't rushed. I thought getting to the big leagues, at the age of 24, 25, where he was more mature, helped. And being in New York from day one gave him a runway to really prepare for the bright lights of New York City. And of course, having tremendous parents and DNA, this guy's just a tremendous human being.
So yesterday we said, just to give people an example of how stacked these teams are, we took the Dodgers and the Yankees, and we said if we did a batting order today, Mookie would lead off, we'd play him at second. It's so stacked when you combine these two that we had Soto batting second, Ohtani third, Aaron, Freddie Freeman, Giancarlo Stanton, Will Smith. We got Max Muncy at 9, who had 36 homers last year. It is interesting to watch it. Are you concerned at all when you look at a team like the Dodgers or the Yankees that they could become home run dependent? And historically, Alex, home run leaders don't win the World Series. It's situational baseball. It's late inning pitching. Are you concerned at all that these teams are home run dependent?
No, I'm not. I was totally concerned about the Yankees last year in whether they were home run or bust. There was a number of games where they had a lineup with 9 right-handed hitters, which
Yeah.
is unheard of for the New York Yankees and their history. Both these teams have complete offensive packages. They can hit for power. They can hit it in the clutch. They can hit good pitching. They're both very high on their walks, so they have eagle eye at the plate, and they can beat you so many ways. And look, Soto has completely changed the whole fabric of this team. And you look at the ripple effect and how well Aaron Judge is playing, Volpe's developing, and Stanton's like a different guy because you have a righty dynamic in which you have a lot of favorable lineup matchups, especially in the middle of the game when you face the belly of the opposition's bullpen.
So the Phillies and the Mets are in London Saturday, 12:30 Eastern on Fox. I've said this before. I don't know what it is, and I've never considered baseball to be a home field advantage, although I did think old Yankee Stadium intimidated teams. You get into late innings, it felt the ghost, it felt big. It was just rickety enough that it felt like it was just turbulent as the fans were going nuts. But I watched Bryce Harper and I watched the Phillies, and it does feel like they feed off their fans. Your thoughts on, as you look at Bryce Harper, I think he's delivered on all the hype. I do. I think he's a rock star. I think he connects with cities. I think he's productive. At this point in his career, how would you describe Bryce Harper's journey where he is currently in the Phillies?
He's one of my favorite players. I mean, Bryce Harper simply is one of my favorite players, not in just generation, but in all generations. He's an old schooler. I mean, he's a guy that could have played with Pete Rose and Larry Bowa and Steve Carlton and many others in that generation. But it's hard to believe that this kid was in the cover of Sports Illustrated as a 15 or 16-year-old, Colin, and you fast forward 15 years, and he's actually outperformed his incredible ceiling. He's been better than advertised. And there's probably a handful of people over the last 100 years that have had expectations that high, whether that's Kobe Bryant, whether that's LeBron James, whether that's the way that I came up as a first pick. And he's one of the few that's been able to be better than advertised. And he is truly, I can't believe I'm going to say this, underpaid. And it's a great, great contract for the Philadelphia Phillies. And he's a perfect match for that great city and that great fan base.
So there's 3 or 4 teams that can mash it. The Yankees, Dodgers have like really, really good lineups. But there is something that I look at this because I used to look at this as a kid, so I still look at it. There's a lot of teams hitting under like 239. And then there's a handful of teams, and the Yankees, Dodgers among them, that are mashing it. They can hit. Is this more about just, I don't recall a time in my life where there were more 6'5" guys throwing 101. Is it just a matter of the athletes are bigger, the sport's more global, more guys throw hard, we're going to more relief pitchers, so the guy in the 5th, 6th, 7th inning all throws 98? Is that just symptomatic of what the sport is, which is there's so many great arms, it takes an Aaron Judge or a Freeman or a Mookie to get hits consistently. It's just too hard anymore.
Yeah, but I think the pendulum sometimes goes way too far to the right, and you've seen the Yankees. To oversimplify why the Yankees are one of the best team in baseball, and last year they were one of the worst, just look at their starting pitching. Starting pitching is back. The top 5 teams in baseball, they have the top 5 starting pitchers that can go long into games. It's not just, I want to throw every pitch as hard as possible, and if I pitch 2 1/3, that's a quality start. That's a bunch of nonsense. So that pendulum is kind of swinging back. The other thing that the Yankees have done a tremendous job, and this is really a microcosm of what I think you're going to see in the future, is they brought back baseball players, not just put the iPads away, but bring the stick Michaels. Gene Michael, the great executive for Yankees for many, many years. He liked players that can hit from both sides of the plate, that can make contact, big, strong athletes. And then they've brought back coaching baseball people back into that dugout with Pat Wrestler. They brought back people that can teach the game. And this is the best coaching staff the Yankees have had since the championship year in 2009. And I also think it's one of the main reasons why they've turned it around.
With all the stuff that Ohtani went through, he's got such a unique personality. I said before, I kind of defended him. I said, he comes into another country. He's got language barriers. He moves up the interstate, Angels to the Dodgers. His life is big. He's a rock star in 2 countries. Give this kid a break. It is kind of fascinating in a weird way. This is odd. That he has a language barrier actually helps him because, right, like it does give him a buffer with the media a little bit. But I am surprised that he wasn't at least a little bit emotionally engulfed by what he went through. Are you a little surprised? I don't think he's guilty. I don't know, but he's like not stubbed his toe he's on fire.
The guy's amazing, Colin. Look, Ohtani is a national treasure. There's no question about it. I just wish that when I went through all my controversy, I was playing for the Tokyo Giants and not the New York Yankees. that really hurts. But look, I think he handled it beautifully. I thought Rob Manfred and the league investigated quickly. They got to an answer. They were resolute, and they moved on. And I could not think of what a disaster I would be if I was playing out in Brazil or playing for Tokyo or playing in Korea or playing anywhere. It would just be very, very challenging. And the way he makes it look, Colin, it's not only impressive, but I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. All right, Alex Rodriguez, 3-game series starts tomorrow. Saturday, it's on Fox. London game, Phillies, Mets. By the way, it is interesting that in New York City, one team loads up the lineup and they can handle the stress, the Yankees. Last year, the Mets did it, and they folded like a deck chair. There is something, there's a vibe or a culture about the Mets. The Padres last year had all these great players, couldn't handle it. There is something, I don't know what it is, about the Yankees and the Mets. The pressure, the Yankees tend to historically feed off it. The Mets fold off it. Explain it to me. I don't get it.
Well, I don't know if there's an explanation, but certainly one team they're in 2 separate elevators. One is going to the penthouse, the other one's going to the basement. And if you think about the year 2000, it was so crazy that they were both great. They both went to the World Series and the Subway Series, but that's kind of an anomaly. I do think that the Mets will reset. I think Steve Cohen has tremendous resources. He will put the right people in place, but they got to think about rebuilding this team. And the New York Yankees basically gave you a floor plan, right, on how to get it back. And I think Soho is going to be a very pertinent conversation to be had this offseason. I think Steve Cohen is going to go for him very, very aggressively. And that'll be a twofold win, right? If they can put him on the Mets and take him away from the Yankees, and then start building your team around great starting pitching, young starting pitching, draft picks, defense, and athleticism. And I think the Mets could be on track in the next few years.
Alex, as always, good seeing you. Appreciate you giving us time today. Thanks. Appreciate it. Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.